All right. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is enlarge this drawing from 4 by 4. This is 4. And make it 8 by 8 on this sheet. It's just a scrap piece of some newsprint paper that I've got. I'm going to start this. I'm just going to choose this as the edge to measure off of. Remember, you want to keep this square. By square, meaning you want this to be, I want to draw the line parallel. I can see from this, enlarge this a little bit more. Let's see, my 8 is here. So what I want to do, smaller, that's better. I'm just going to measure 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and then I'm going to move the 0 up. The scale has a line of a mark of 0 and 8, and then I'll come up here 1/4 of an inch. Eight. And so if I have 2 marks here, the same distance from the edge, I can draw that line. And the same here, these are going to be 8 from that. And then I'm going to use, oh dear, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. Start that again. Is it not? Okay, try this again. Oh, it's fine. I'm going to do this. It's right there. Should have just measured it off. I know I have a square over here. Yeah, whatever. Close enough is going to be close enough. Stop trying to overthink this. The problem is I know that this, if this is straight, this is not 90 degrees right there, so kind of goofed that up. What I want to do, I'm just going to approximate the best I can a straight line. There's a little bit of an angle to this sheet, but really shouldn't have. I should have just used a piece of paper that was not folded the way this one was folded, because then it took my 90-degree corner off the piece of paper. But I think this will be close enough. Yeah, that's close enough. Okay. I'll just put that other one underneath it for a barrier for what I'm drawing. All right. Now, sure we're in focus. Okay. So just redrawing this, I think I'm just going to try to reproduce it by starting with the what I see as this vanishing point over here. It doesn't have to be exactly that, just close enough. So I'm just going to start redrawing. Might even just draw them backward. Good. And then this. I think I can just do that. what I'm doing is I'm just gradually making these curving lines, like the same curve. I just let it get a little bit farther apart so it looks like they're parallel but getting smaller. And then that I can lighten. Just remove that there. Show that that one's in front. Okay. Morning, Claudia.
Good morning.
How are you?
Uh, I'm good, but I'm just like I have it. I'm listening, but I'm working at the same time
Oh, that's okay.
because I have to move around today. But I'm listening with like one ear,
Oh,
at
that's
least
okay.
one.
That's okay. Are you working on drawings for this class or something else? It's okay if you're
No,
working on something else.
no. I actually have to like work.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I'm a sales rep during the
Oh,
day, so
got it.
I
Okay.
have some clients I have to take care of. But I'm a lot in a car, so I can watch meanwhile.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining in spite of needing to be at work. That, and then this one, I think that. So here, let's see how that looks. That's not,
I don't know if you've seen, but I already submitted on the Blackboard um, my work for this project. I don't know if that's good enough, if that's what
oh,
would qualify, but
okay. Well, let's, I can, after I do some demonstration, I'll have a look at it.
yeah, I mean, the deadline is like in, I don't know when
It's next
exactly,
week.
but I just yeah, so I submitted ahead, but if you're gonna have some comments, I can always work on it during the weekend. I just wanted to do it right
Yeah,
away because I have citizenship interview, so there's a lot of stress coming next
that's okay.
week for me.
I appreciate you getting things done early if you've got other work coming. And thank you for telling me so I can know to go look at it. All right. I think I want, so this is, like I have here in this drawing, this kind of like pile, like the forms kind of pile up in this spot. And so I have the opportunity to make an alteration here since I'm not I'm not stuck with that. If I have to change this, I can change this. I want to see maybe if I curve this more, but I want to watch out. So I want to watch out for like this kind of like, I don't want this curve to kind of match this curve exactly and look like it's part of the same thing. I want it to look clearly like this one is behind. So I think I do have to have that come intersect, like hit that line there. I'm going to make this one smaller. That was a little bit clunky right there. That's good. That's good. Kind of like that. So one of the things I'm also doing is I'm trying to make sure like that this one doesn't come out right at this. I didn't really want it to come out at this corner. I wanted to, it'll look more naturally like they're overlapping if I just like watch out for where these lines seem like where this seems to cross behind it. I don't really want to create this sort of like little like point of emphasis here because there's really not. This is going to become interesting here, but there's really no benefit to having like this line come out and intersect right there. I remember a painting professor telling us he used the term tickling edge, and that's where, like, if I had like this come down and just kind of like glance right off of that edge like there, but this is farther away, this is closer, but they seem like they're like at this point they would look like they're at the same depth. What that tends to do is really, it tends to kind of confuse the eye a little bit. I guess it confuses the brain. The eye is just what receives the visual information. And that, I think I'm going to make this a little bigger so that, yeah, these don't have to be quite so small. And here comes my guest star. Hey, Elliot, little baby. You can't sit right there. Elliot, you can't sit. No, you can't lay down right here. Oh, this is like every time, right? Little baby, come up here. You can't sit right there. You gotta sit up here. Elliot. I know that you're supposed to get my attention all the time, even though there are two other cats here. There. Sit there. Good boy. And his tail will be whipping across the drawing, as usual. Okay. That's better, and I want to have this one. Okay. Make these a little bit larger. Sure about this. Okay, well, I think this little triangle here might just get darkened. Elliot, no, hon. Yes, everybody agrees you're really cute, but you're not really part of the subject matter of the class. Hey, little bug. Little bugger, no. No. Oh no. The other drawing is not nearly as interesting since I'm not working on it. Okay. Well, let's try. Okay. This is going to compromise. Okay, so my drawing here, I have these marks that are curving. Oh, I still want to do this. Small. Okay. You gotta move just a little bit. Come on. Come on. This is how this is me working. Okay. Now. So I'm using my drawing, my smaller drawing as a guide. I'm just like looking at it. Don't worry about going out into the border here. So I'm making these curved marks that look like they follow, like if this is a curving, like a tube, I want the marks to curve so that it looks like this kind of shadow. Now this, I think this could be a little more solid. Right through here. I mean, you might even just like put that, make some more solid line there. There. So this will help me figure out the like type of shape I'm using or the piece of paper that I'm using for. Oh, stop that! No, no. Okay, play with the cat. All right. So one thing I want to do, so I want to create this like shadow and light, and the transition from shadow to light. I want to pull these a little bit longer. Here and then down here, when it gets really smaller, you can't define it so clearly. So you just sort of like, make them as best you can. The background I'm going to make dark, so you can use just solid pieces of paper for this when you're doing the finished version. Oh, hi. Everybody, look at how cute Elliot is. Oh, you're really cute. No, no erasers. You'll start eating that thing and then in big trouble. All right, he's disappointed. Okay. We leave a little. I want to leave a little bit of a white sliver down here. You look at objects that are like spherical or cylindrical with light on them. Usually, you'll see like a little like lighter strip down on the edge of the shadow, and that's really because light is all around the object. Okay. Good. So like this here, I don't have to really put a lot there on the light part of the surface. If I'm darkening this. I think I'll use this is why you don't let him play with the cat. There it is. I'm going to use the chisel side, which is larger. And we'll cover. You go sort of like zigzag back and forth, let them overlap. This really only works if you just got a big, simple area like this to fill in. But the brush is not that good of a, not the greatest for filling in large areas like this, I don't think. Good. Just like that. So then you can see how this highlight looks better. Right. Fill in some of these smaller black shapes here. Okay. In a smaller area, I don't know that I really need to have the lines. The line might be, I don't really have to cover that much, a lot of area, but like here, where it's really small, I think I'm just going to put that kind of like a line for the shadow. This is a little too small. I think I might have to make that. You might need to make that bigger in the finished version. And here, okay, good. Hey, Dennis. Rolling is, excuse me, stop that. Yeah, don't mess around. Right, I'm teaching. Dennis is about to start antagonizing Elliot, and then Elliot will chase Dennis, and Dennis will run and find a safe place. No, Dennis is much larger. Dennis is really not that much of a fighter. He's just kind of a pain in the butt to Elliot and likes to bother him. Okay, so this is good. I can see in the overhead my drawing looks cleaner than in the smaller version. Now here, I think what I'm going to, I'll put this there. I want to show this as a curve. So I'll curve this more. The more I curve this, the more it'll give the impression of the volume of it. And you know, I think I might even just leave this with just like a simple strip here, and maybe like this, not have this kind of like, you know, curving hatch mark come down into the highlight. I think that would be simpler. It would give me effectively the same result. And when I make this, you could make more of this. Like you could make this out of a single piece of paper I could put a piece of tracing paper down. And trace that. Make sure it's all of its edges are here. So I can transfer this to a piece of the construction paper. The way I can do that. I can't really see it. I think I'm going to have to do. Make sure all of these. Just kind of making this. Make sure it's solid. This way, when I turn this over on the black paper, I can see it better. If it's in pencil, it just kind of disappears. Good. So then what I need to do is take a pencil. Let's do this with my souvenir Mackinac Island pencil from Michigan from a long, long time ago. There. So if I put graphite here, some of you may have done this in the past in other classes. Like I know some students learn this in high school art classes. But then this is closest. I use the green tape. Psst. Elliot. God, you guys. Okay, so what I got here is I traced the shape on tracing paper. And then on the tracing paper, I inked it so I can see it through the paper when it's on the black. And I put shaded, like kind of build up like kind of a heavy layer of pencil, the graphite from the pencil there. Then, through pressure, if I retrace this, what is meant to happen is that the graphite, through the pressure, will get transferred to the surface of the black paper, and then I can just cut it out more easily. And that all depends on whether or not I have enough graphite on the other side. There. Yeah, that's really light. I think I'll work on that. Some demos don't work so well. You just kind of have to. Yeah, that's getting more of it off. I think I just need to press harder. Or I need to put more graphite on the side. So if you have drawing pencils, softer graphite, like a 2B, 4B, 6B pencil, that graphite will come off, will transfer more easily. But since you might have only a number 2 pencil, I want to do this just with the regular number 2 pencil. There, that's good. So I can still see. Yeah, so it came off. Comes off really easily on that. You can see that showed up nice and clear. Trace that. Good. So I think I just didn't have enough on it, which I suppose that's also a good demonstration, because you should know what to do when what you're doing doesn't work the first time. Okay. Maybe it just doesn't like this paper or something. I mean, this pencil should be a harder pencil. It'll give you better pressure. That's better. I can see it. The graphite is reflective. I can see it well enough that I can cut it. So I'll cut that later. I'm going to finish the drawing. But how does this look? This is okay. So I like this better. This is a little too scratchy and sketchy, so you can't really do that fine, scratchy, sketchy kind of a mark in the paper. You can't, I mean, not very well. And with the paper, I want you to simplify the detail of it. So there. So as a comparison, I think that, let's go up like that. That's pretty good. This is a lot cleaner looking. You can see how much more space there seems to be in how much more space there is in this drawing, or appears to be. Dennis, leave him alone. Hey. Yeah, don't injure him again, Elliot. Yes, Elliot once injured Dennis. If he'd bitten Dennis in a slightly different place, he could have crippled him. But that was when Dennis was new, and Dennis just doesn't know when to quit. Okay, so yeah, that's good. So I want you to do 3 of these drawings at this scale. This took me, even just with talking and kitty cat distractions, it took me about a half an hour to do that. Now, if you have some drawings that are more like like this or this, where you have you're trying to create that sphere out of smaller pieces, which is what a lot of the examples show you, then some stuff down. And use up this. Okay, so let's say like I want to do this one. And where's Joey? Actually, I have to quarter of an inch off of this. This is a smaller piece of paper. Quarter of an inch. I'll just make it close like that. Okay. Okay, well, I'm not going to, I think I won't go through the process of shading every one of them, but I am. So I know that it's going to be dark out here. I can just go ahead and start with this. Drawing circles like this, so they're not quite a little bit more ovoid, but I'm just like not moving my fingers or my wrist. I'm just moving my whole arm. That's kind of the way to do it. Okay, now here, similar to those these sort of snaking tube-like forms, I can make this smoother on the edge. And you can cut some of this out of one large piece, but you don't want to make this. If this is you're trying to create a transition on this, you don't want to make it look too solid and flat. So it's kind of nice to leave a little bit of white in this. So it's a little harder to get away with cutting this out of a solid piece of paper unless you just cut little tiny openings in it, which would also work. And students have done that in the past. Okay, that's good, like that. So the idea, you got light coming down this way. This surface will be illuminated, this will be in shadow, and you want to create a transition in the middle. If you look at a sphere with light on it, or if you look at photographs of planets in space, or the moon, or I guess any of those spheroid objects in space, you will see that the transition is really quick. It's like there's the light side, there's the dark side, and then the transition is fast. In this, you can make it look a little bit more gradual. It'll still work. I think just visually, it looks a little better. And this also kind of like makes it look like there's some texture to it. I don't know if I need these little, like, you know, places where like the stem attached to it. This does not have to be an orange or anything like that. But you'll see here, like if I come to shade the background, when I do this, you'll see that they look more three-dimensional. If you just put the marker on that contour line around the edge of the sphere and just pull it away like that, you start to create, with a dark background, the light here starts to look more convincing. I use that with a lot of, I mean, that's a technique of drawing and just like, you know, representation that I use all the time. Contrast. You know, we see edges based on contrast in the world. You know, when you look at things in your daily life, at home, outside, you don't see anything with a black line around it. You see everything by contrast. Hey, come on. Go sit right there. You can't sit right in front of the camera. And I speak to him as if he understands English, and he doesn't. Pretty sure of that. And now he's goofing around with something behind the computer monitor. Elliot, what in the world are you doing back there? What are you doing? Oh no, that's for, he's got this screwdriver for eyeglasses that he will probably knock behind the table. Tape. God, he loves eating tape too. That's way worse. That'll make him sick. Do not let them eat tape. Don't know why. He likes adhesive. He likes to lick and bite tape. Don't know where he got that from. Maybe from his days living in an alley in the Pilsen neighborhood in Chicago. Okay, there. That's cool, like that. So if you know some of the examples that, actually a lot of the examples that you'll see show some pretty obsessive, like little tiny pieces, which I'll demonstrate making these in paper more on Thursday. But you know, this could be cut out of a larger shape, just like, you know, with the knife, cut a few little like irregular kind of cavities, little perforations, make this an irregular edge, and then some smaller pieces there, and you would really get largely the same effect. You don't have to necessarily build this out of a lot of tiny pieces. It's more efficient to try to make this out of, like, some of this out of a larger piece, and then take the time to cut little tiny bits here, those little white bits through. That way, if this is really just all solid, it's going to look a little too flat. A little bit of light that shows through gives it better depth. That was one of those mysterious statements of one of my professors said to us that took me a while to figure out what he meant, because he wouldn't tell us. That the darkest areas are the ones you can see through. And we all like, what? But he meant those little light areas give you contrast in the darker areas, and it tends to look more realistic. And also increases the appearance of contrast, and also prevents it from looking flat. That would have made more sense. He didn't need to be like the, you know, mysterious sensei who could have just told us. But I guess for some people it's more fun to be oblique with your students. I prefer not to be. Hey, come here. You're totally upstaging me. Come on. Everybody wants to see cats on the internet way more than this. All right. Any questions about this? Okay.
No, what I did is for the kind of like a background, like you have with the Sharpie or marker, like let's say those long lines, I did them, I cut them out of paper.
Yeah.
And when it's darker, it's just like they're more condensed, and
Yeah.
on the side of, let's say, light, they're like less condensed to kind of like.
Do you mind if we look at what you put up there?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's see, and we'll we go to the Blackboard page. Yeah. Elliot, you must be hungry. This must be why you're bothering me. Oh. Yeah, he he has this weird thing where like he eats kibble all the time. And he likes to eat some of like the canned food. I'll buy them some like nice like expensive canned foods, which is all Dennis eats because Dennis is huge and he's losing weight. But Elliot, for some reason, is a rarity among cats. If he eats the canned food, he'll throw up. And mostly, like cats will like some cats just have a hard time digesting the dry food, but not Elliot. He can't digest the wet food. But he'll be like, let me have it, and then I'll give him like it's like a little bit of like the juice off of one of them,
Oh,
and he loves that. It's like a drink. But I gave him a little bit because he was just like sitting there like, no, that's not what I want. I want so I knew what he wanted. And then, of course, he just like threw up and like, Elliot, I told you.
you should have known better.
It's like, well, I mean, that's probably the same thing as people. It's like, right, your doctor's like, oh, your cholesterol's kind of high. Like, you shouldn't eat something dairy or something like that. And then you're like, but I like it.
Yeah, he's like, this donut is probably not good for me, but then.
Yeah, he's just like, like, who cares? Actually, I gotta just do the, I'll just share the whole desktop here. And this way we can look at this. Ba-da-ba-da.
Okay, so
Good.
I was trying to create like that, as you can see, like the fingers
Yeah.
kind of. So you
Yeah.
were mentioning like to make something in front and in the back, so like those like tips of fingers are
Yeah.
kind of like hidden.
This is so yeah, like the fingers that are coming down below the thumb. That looks good.
Yeah, and then like so it creates like something is in front and something
Yes.
is in the back,
That
and
definitely.
then there's the light comes from the. I was trying not to make the black lines around the
Yeah.
let's say hand,
Yep.
but like you said, like you mentioned with the circle, like let's say on the right side by the thumb, I have like a black kind of like a strip because it's the shadow, like,
Yeah.
and then a little bit of white.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I think the thumb looks good. I think the area like where like the thumb moves like up toward the index finger, this could probably be done out of like one piece of paper that has like sort of like kind of like the folds and wrinkles.
Because there's so many like, yeah, like there's if you look at the hand, it's actually so much going on there. Like
Yeah.
the fingers in the background are like folding.
Yeah. But so the thing is like inside, like between like this sort of like circular area between the thumb and like where you see the other fingers inside, that's okay if that's a little bit vague. Because
Yeah, because
we have, well, see, to
kind of,
me, there's enough information with the thumb and the index finger, if you can clean up some of that, like the shapes inside, I can see them. I feel like I can see them well enough that I understand. I understand what they're meant to be.
Yeah, it was hard to cut in the paper also like perfectly.
Yeah, but I think, it's close enough, and I think it's good for everyone to see that there is such a thing as close enough.
Hmm.
That like the mind will fill in information that I assume that's what that is what it looked like,
Hmm.
even though it might be, it might not be, but I assume that it is, and it's close enough that I don't question it.
Yeah.
So around the
Not,
index finger and the top of the hand, you could have more, like a little bit more detail there, or just like maybe like I think the top edge. If you darken the background, I would create the top edge of the hand by making the background darker
okay.
and just
But there's light coming from this side.
the white. Yeah, so like the light's coming from the left,
Hmm.
and so the background should be darker. All like you could make it like the same kind of like broad stripe everywhere, or even like maybe if you use thinner lines for the background on the left side, just
Hmm.
make them like bring them right up to the edge of the hand, and then just don't try to do a contour line around the hand on the left side. I think like the way you've done the index finger looks good, the thumb looks good. You could even take a little bit of like the hatching off of the middle of the thumb. Maybe you could leave that. That actually that looks good. Maybe a little bit more there. Um, yeah, I think so. Like I think it's really like articulating the detail. Let's look down to your drawing of it.
I mean I did like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, good.
So
So you see with your hand, with the shading on the left side of the hand, if you just bring that, like maybe the striping is a little closer together, and you bring them right up to the line, then you won't need the line.
yeah, so it shows the shape with the contrast
Yeah,
more.
it'll show the shape just with the contrast. Yeah, yeah. So I think some of what I'm like with the shading here, I like this. I like the image a lot. I think if you is this glued down?
Yes.
Okay. Well then, it's glued.
I mean I can always add something if
Yeah.
anything,
Well, so
but
the thing is,
like the
did you use rubber cement or like a glue stick?
glue stick.
Okay, because the rubber cement you could pull it up.
I have a bad experience because I was opening the bottle and like spilled all over,
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's
oh my God, I couldn't
yeah,
take it off my hand.
honestly
Like I'm
the
gonna use glue.
yeah. No, I like the rubber cement for its qualities, but I mean partly it is. I mean like it's the smells terrible. And if you get on it, it's like you need like paint thinner to clean it up off of surfaces.
Yeah, it's just a different animal. I have to get used to it.
But it's really nice to have an adhesive that if like it gets out, like if you're pasting those down and it gets out onto the white surface, you can clean it off.
Oh, okay.
So that's what that like little like the little like square rubber cement pickup thing is for. Is after it
Hmm.
dries, you can you really kind of like tap it or like gently rub it like it's an eraser,
Hmm.
and the rubber cement will stick to the rubber cement pickup thing.
Okay.
But you've got to hold the black paper down. But we're getting to where you're not going to need it so much anyway. Um,
Yeah.
but I think this looks, I think that if so, you could do this still even with that stuck down. Darken the background on the left side,
Just to create more contrast.
Yeah, put more and try to just like bring it right up to the edge where that you created with those like the kind of staggered contour line,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll show up a lot better.